Somebody alive right now, probably a child, maybe a teenager, is going to blow out 150 candles. Not in a movie, not in a sci-fi novel, in real life. And the scientists making that claim are not fringe researchers. They work at Harvard, at MIT, at the Salk Institute. So the question is not really, is this possible? The question is, are you in that group? Right, let's get into this. But before we do, if you're new here, hit subscribe. This channel is built for people who actually want to understand what's happening in science before it becomes a headline. Now, back to the story. For most of human history, living past 40 was the exception. Julius Caesar died at 55, and people called him old. 100 years ago, the average lifespan in the United States was 54 years. Then, medicine improved, sanitation improved, food improved, and suddenly we're living into our 70s, 80s, even 90s. But here's the thing nobody told you. That progress, it mostly just helped us survive diseases that used to kill us young. We haven't actually slowed down aging, until now. Because scientists have now started treating aging itself as a disease. There's a researcher named David Sinclair at Harvard Medical School. He spent over 20 years studying why we age, and his conclusion is, we don't have to, not like we thought. He published a paper and then a book called Lifespan, where he argues that aging is, quote, a loss of information in our DNA, not inevitable decay, not just cells giving up, a bug in the system. And like any bug, in theory, it can be fixed. Now, stay with me here because this is where it gets wild. Inside every one of your cells is something called the epigenome. Think of your DNA as the hardware, the actual code. The epigenome is the software on top of it, telling your cells which genes to switch on and which to ignore. When you're young, that software runs clean, but over decades it gets corrupted. Cells start getting confused about what they're supposed to be. A skin cell might start acting like something else. Your body loses its internal organization, and that disorganization is what we call aging. But here's the part that stopped me cold when I first read about it. In 2020, Sinclair's lab published research showing they could reset the epigenome in old mice. They used a set of genes called Yamanaka factors, which are basically a biological restore to factory settings command. The mice got their vision back, their injured nerves regenerated. They got younger at the cellular level, not just healthier, younger. The experiment worked, and they're now trying it on other tissues in the body. This is not a theory anymore. It happened, in a lab, with measurable results. And Sinclair is not alone. Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder, pumped over $1 billion into a company called Altos Labs. Their only job is to reverse cellular aging. Google co-founded a company called Calico, specifically to solve death. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, invested $180 million into a longevity startup. These are not people who throw money at fantasies. They're betting their personal fortunes that this is real. So let's talk about what's actually being developed right now, because there's more than one path being explored, and some of them are already in human trials. Senolytics. These are drugs that identify and destroy what scientists call zombie cells. Old, damaged cells that stop working but refuse to die. They just sit there, leaking toxic signals into the surrounding tissue, accelerating aging in healthy cells nearby. Senolytics go in and clear them out. Early trials in humans show improvements in physical function and inflammation markers. Real results, real people. Then there's NAD+, a molecule in your body that declines massively with age. At 50, your NAD+ levels are roughly half of what they were at 20. Drugs like NMN and NR boost those levels back up. In animal studies, the effects are dramatic. Muscle regeneration, improved metabolism, more energy at the cellular level. Human trials are ongoing. The results are promising enough that researchers are publishing regularly. And then there's mRNA technology. You know mRNA from the COVID vaccines, but researchers are now exploring whether mRNA can be used to reprogram aging cells, to essentially send instructions to your body to start running like it did 20 years ago. That research is early, but it's moving fast. Here's the uncomfortable part I want you to sit with. Even if all of this works perfectly, it will not be equally available. Not at first. The first generation of longevity treatments will almost certainly be expensive. Very expensive. And that raises a question that nobody in the longevity community loves to talk about. If some people can buy more decades of healthy life and others can't, what does that do to society, to inheritance, to work, to retirement, to everything we built assuming people live to 80? There's no clean answer, but it's worth thinking about now before it arrives. Here's where the story lands. Scientists like Aubrey de Grey have argued for years that the first person to live to 1,000 has already been born. Most mainstream researchers think that's too aggressive, but 150? That number is being said quietly, seriously, by serious people. We may be the first generation in history where some of us will get to choose how long we live. Not because we were lucky, because the science caught up in time. The children being born right now will grow up in a world where aging is managed the same way we manage blood pressure or cholesterol. Not eliminated overnight, but controlled, slowed, maybe reversed. So, here's the question I'll leave you with, and I genuinely want to know what you think. If the science works, and you could live to 150 in good health, would you want to? And if your answer is yes, what would you actually do with that time? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because this conversation, this one, is worth having before it stops being hypothetical. And if you want to go deeper, I've covered the specific scientists, the actual trials, and the timeline of when this could reach regular people in a follow-up video. It's linked right here. Watch that next. And subscribe if you haven't already. This channel covers exactly this kind of thing. Real science, real stakes, no hype. See you in the next one.